Okay, we're back. I just dried this, and my this is an Arches pad, and it is delaminating, which means that it's coming loose. The glue is coming loose. It should not do that, and don't know quite what to make of that. I may contact Jerry's and ask them about this. But anyway, so I'm gonna go back over this tree and again make it darker because again it's in shadow, and I'm going to take my credit card and just get some texture going in here. Let's make this bottom edge darker going up in here like that. All right, so if I just do this, being careful not to run it over into the other area, and change directions. That should give us some texture. That's nice, I like that. All right, push this dark again, and just go underneath here, the underside of the branch, and see if we can get a little texture in there. Well, that's too much texture. That's okay. That just gives you a nice area of interest. Then I'm going to change just to make it a little bit different back there. I'm going to change this one a bit into being a little more burnt sienna in that, just to differentiate it from the other tree. Very tip of the brush, I mean barely at all. I'm just flicking that just to give it a little texture, and wipe your credit card off when you do that. I'm just using this tiny little piece of credit card here, so it's not exactly a big motion there. Just giving this some variation there, and come back in here, give it some variation in there, just anchor it to the page, and you can just do whatever you want here until you're happy with the texture. You can also scrape it this way if you want to. You can also use a palette knife if you want to. I'm pretty much going to call that tree done. So now we are going to go in with our foliage, and I've wet this nice little sponge, and it's a sea sponge, and I'm just ever so lightly going to position these where I want the foliage to be to give myself an idea, and that's sap green. And you see this whole thing is full of foliage up here. So starting light, because you can easily overdo this. And this is actually going to come down into the other tree line, and it's got to make sense. So now I'm going into the azo green mixture, which was the sap green and the gamboge, or the whatever you have, nickel azo or whatever, yellow, just to make this nice green. We're going to have to get some of this coming in over the top here. So now I've gone into the sap green mixed with Payne's gray. This is where you want to do the darker to build. I feel like there's got to be more branches up in here somewhere that I've missed. Okay. So I think I'm just going to take these right off the top of the page because I think that will look more real. And we'll add a few little branches in there to explain what's happening there. Okay, I don't want to overdo it, but I do want that to go into those trees, and I do want this to go into that so that we have a transition of sorts there. All right, now I'm going to wash that, and I'm going to go into this very light green. It's called leaf green. That's the green I'm talking about. And it's probably not going to show up very well over these other colors, but we just want a hint of it here and there. It's really not showing up, but that's okay. All right, before I go crazy, I'm gonna put in some more limbs here so that I can make sense of some of this. Coming in like that, and we'll put one going like that, and we'll just let them kind of weave in and out here, back into there. And I don't want them to be very pronounced, but I do want it to make sense. Maybe that one doesn't make too much sense there. Maybe I don't like that one. Maybe we'll push them back like this, just so they're suggested, but not really pronounced. Like that, just for the very tip of your brush, like that. I get one coming up in here. And you know, you just have to work your trees until you're happy with them. That doesn't make me happy, so we'll do that. We'll just leave that like that. And then we'll just bring in the tiniest little way, some little touches on these branches, just to soften them a bit more. There, okay, I like that. Put some more of these trees in here. And this guy, put him back in. Okay. Give him a little purpose in there. I don't like how this is such a solid mess back here. So I'm gonna lighten that up a little bit. Lighten all this up a little bit. And maybe drop some more different color in there. Maybe with our sponge. Maybe like that, just to give some illusion of texture. Since that's more in the foreground. Let's put a little bit more of this in here now. The darks really help. This is that dark sap green and Payne's gray mix. And it just makes sense out of what's happening in the trees. But I am going to stop because the trees are getting too symmetrical. So I have to stand back and look at this and decide if those trees are okay. I do think I need to bring this down just a little bit more here. So I don't like that where that's stopping. So I'm taking most of the, okay. Right. Have some branches crossing over other branches. That makes things look more real. That was too much right there. Don't want that one. Okay, I need to stop. Okay, we'll be back shortly.